Hi, Trinity Church. My name is Tracy Joseph, and I've been a member of Trinity since 2010. I remember my first service at Trinity was a rendezvous service on a Tuesday night. At that service, I sat at about the third or fourth row. I remember Pastor Rich sitting on the first row, looking back and waving. So I looked around wondering, who was he waving at? And I thought to myself, it couldn't possibly be me. He doesn't know me. It was my first service. I looked back at him and he was continuing to wave. So I waved back and he smiled. At that moment, I felt it was my confirmation that he was not just waving at me, but that this would become my home church. In 2011, I gave birth to my son, Ladarian Dumas. I call Ladarian my lucky number 7 because he was born 7 pounds, 7 ounces, and he turned 7 years old this year. In 2014, I was very devastated to find out that Ladarian was being diagnosed with autism, ADHD, and he was at risk for having seizures. A little bit after the diagnosis, I lost my job. I was in very deep depression. I met Pastor Terrence at one service and I told him my story, and he invited me to the Girlfriends Conference. It was at that conference I heard Pastor Robin give her testimony about her son Graham. When I heard this testimony, I said to myself, wow, this can be Ladarian, and this will be Ladarian. Ladarian will speak one day, and as he speaks, he will give his testimony. In 2017, I received an email inviting me for an interview for the City of Miami Gardens. I never even applied for the job. I went to the interview and I got the job. A little bit after working there, I began working for the vice mayor, and he convinced me to go back to school. I am now a third-year junior at Florida Memorial University and a full-time single mother to a 7-year-old son. Last Sunday, I felt overwhelmed. I felt like a lot of things were going on, and at that service, Pastor Robin said, "Come up to the altar." She said, "I know you've been at this altar before, but come up again." So I said to myself, yes, I've been at this altar 100 times, and this will be 101, but maybe this is the time I need to come up. So I went up to the altar and filled out a prayer request form. The very next morning, I received a text from Pastor Rich saying, "Hey Tracy, this is Pastor Rich, and I just want you to know that I've been praying for you." So with excitement, I responded and said thank you, and told myself, well, thank God I went up to the altar. About 2 or 3 hours later, I was going down the elevator at work. As soon as the elevator door opened on the first floor, I saw Pastor Rich sitting there in the lobby of City Hall. I didn't know what he was there for, but I told him to come into the elevator, and he told me that he was there to see the mayor. I think everything happens for a reason. I believe that moment that I went up to the altar was for this very moment now. When I know God is on my side, I'm going to forget the past and believe God's got me, and I've got a bright future.